only because they love it so much. So our first agenda is not to teach, it is to make them love. Now how do you do that? That's the first question. How do you make a child love this deen? And actually, we're pretty good at making our children hate this deen. We're really good at that. Hey, don't do that, that's haram. This is haram. That's haram. Everything's haram, man. Your children, and some kids, they hear it so much, they figure you should just say that all the time. I've seen that with children. Hey, when you eat chewing gum, you know it's haram, right? Where'd you get that? Because, my Sunday school teacher haramifies everything, so I figure to be a good religious Muslim, you should know this one word and just throw it everywhere. This guy, playing basketball, he goes out of bounds, haram. Because you just go crazy with the religious terminology. But here's the thing, when we reduce the religion for our children to this is not allowed, that's not allowed, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, then that's all they know. Islam is just a bunch of no's. Who wants to hear no? Right? That's not what this deen is. The muharramat of this deen, listen to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. She says, لو أول ما نزل من القرآن لا تشربوا الخمر. If the first thing that came down in the Quran was don't drink alcohol. By the way, does the Quran forbid us from drinking alcohol? Yes. It does, doesn't it? She says, but if that was the first thing that came down, لَقُلْنَا وَاللَّهِ لَا نَتْرُكُ الْخَمْرَ أَبَدًا. We would have said, for sure, we swear to Allah, we will never abandon alcohol. She says, if that was the first thing that came down, who's saying this? Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. Leave alcohol. We would have said, I swear to God, I will never leave. She said, but the first, and she mentioned this about zina and stealing, and then she says, but no, the first thing that came down was Jannah and Nar and Judgment Day and the gifts of Allah that soften the hearts. And then, ثُمَّ نَزَلَ الْحَلَالُ الْحَرَامُ. Then what came down was the halal and the haram. The first thing that Allah changed was the hearts. That's the first thing that Allah changed. But still, coming back to the question, how do we instill that into our children? First and foremost, if you want to love something, you have to love the one that's giving it to you. For example, children develop a love of basketball because their friends play basketball. Even if they weren't into the sport originally, their friends go and do it, they kind of jump in, and they get into it. What we need to give our children more than anything else, in Sunday school, if we can accomplish one thing, I think the first major milestone of success has been reached. You know what it is? To give them a good friend. If we can give our children good friends during Sunday school, we've already succeeded. Halfway already there. Why? The Messenger of Allah says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi, falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalil." A person depends, the man depends on the religion of his friend. Then watch out who you make friends with. This is the advice of Allah's Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about friends. When do our children make friends? In childhood. And those friendships can last a lifetime. Or the kinds of friends they make, the kinds of affiliations they make, change the kind of person they are. Your friends influence a lot of who you are. Maybe you never used to curse, but your friends curse all the time. It kind of rolls off your tongue. And you don't realize how it got there, because you're always hanging out with them. So the things your friends do influence you deeply. Now let me tell you, again, this is very important for parents to understand. When your children, I think I mentioned this last year to you guys, when your children are little, the only one they want to impress is who? You. Look what I made. Look what I drew. I got 3 stars on my homework from my teacher. You don't want to see this, you don't even know what this is, but they want to show it to you, because they want to make you proud. Well, and they take most of their personality from you. Like one of my sons is like 2.5, and he puts on a button shirt, and he goes, I look just like you, Allah. Right? Because they want to be like me. But then, any of you have teenagers that put a shirt on and say, hey, Dad, look just like you? Any 18-year-old, when they get older, they don't want to be like you, they want to be like their friends. The major influence in their life early on is parents. 9, 10, 11, 12 years and older, now the major influence in their life, they want to get the sneakers their friend got. They want to get the video game their friend has. They have a PSP, do you want a PSP? They have a Wii, you want a Wii. They got an iPhone, how come I don't have an iPhone? They want everything that their friends have. Their friends become the main influence in their life. Now, if those friends are terrible people, and they come from families that don't care about raising their children properly, what do you think is going to happen to your child? You understand? Now the thing is, Sunday school, I'm going to come back to the Sunday school problem, this first problem of friendship, I need you to understand it properly and thoroughly. I used to run a Sunday school, and one of my jobs, I told the community in Bayshore, in Long Island, a long time ago, when they wanted me to be director of Sunday school, I told them, I don't think you want me to be the director. It's not a good idea. You're not going to like what I do. And they said, no, we trust you. It's okay, you should do it. I was like, parents are going to hate you, and you guys are going to fire me. So I'm telling you ahead of time, this is not a good idea. They said, no, it's a good idea. Go ahead. You run the Sunday school. I said, fine. I lasted 6 months. Right? But to my credit, I quit. But anyway, so we had our teachers meeting, and the teachers are all asking, so what textbooks are we using this year? I was like, what textbook? What do you mean? We're not using textbooks. What are we going to teach them? I said, nothing. They're like, no, really, what are we going to teach them? I said, nothing. What are we going to do in Sunday school? Okay, here's what we're going to do. The teenage guys, you, 20-year-old, you're in charge of the teenage boys. You're going to take them out early morning to, the Robert Moses Beach during halal hours, early morning. You're going to take them there, you're going to take them to Dunkin' Donuts, you're going to play some basketball, and you're going to come back to the masjid for Dhuhr Salah. And you're going to do this every Sunday. And sometimes you can even do a barbecue with them. Here's your budget. Just do that every week. So what are we teaching them? Don't worry about teaching them. Just do this every week. Just do this every week. And get their phone numbers, stay in touch with them. Go out to dinner with them once a week, the teenage boys. The sister side here, there's a younger sister who's in college. You're in charge of the teenage girls. Go take them out. They love Starbucks for some reason. Go take them to Starbucks. Let them have some coffee and do what they do. And I didn't come up with that. They came up with that. What do you want to do? I don't know. Let's go to Starbucks. Okay? Sit there. Why did I do that for them? Not teach them much at all. All I want them to do right now is develop a friendship among Muslims. A small group of young people who see another slightly older role model, and all they're doing is developing a relationship. They're not talking about Islam or nothing. They're just developing a relationship. When that relationship is developed, this peer, this leader, brings up Islam a little bit here and there. You know, there's this awesome hadith I just heard. Oh, you know what the Quran says about that? This guy cuts you off on the highway, and you're like, yeah, كَذَّبَ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ. Like this, you love to rush. And the 14-year-old sitting there going, that's deep. But the idea is, you throw in sprinkles of this deen. You don't shove it down their throat. You throw in sprinkles of this deen. And you know what starts happening? These kids, they start asking you questions. You don't have to tell them. It's like, so why is getting a tattoo haram? So what's so bad about, this movie or that movie? Or why can't I do this or that in the religion? So what should I do if this happens? And they start asking their peer what they should do to be better Muslims. You didn't have to tell them. They want to become that way on their own. But you allowed them to grow into that maturity. SubhanAllah, that experiment was maybe more than 10 years ago. A lot of those kids from Bayshore, they're not running the Sunday school. A lot of them are running this, SubhanAllah. Because we let them, we have to be patient with them. Unfortunately, the exact opposite is the case. Because when these kids started out, a lot of these kids, man, they weren't exactly masjid kids, if you know what I mean. Right? Their pants were a little too many sizes bigger than their actual waist. And, their speech wasn't exactly very appropriate for the house of Allah. So when they first came, what reaction did we get from the elders? Astaghfirullah. Get them out of here. But then over time, when these kids start maturing, they're the ones that Fajr Salah. They're the ones that are giving Qiyam al-Layl life in the masjid. Incredible. But we have to allow them to flourish and to grow. If we don't do this, if we don't give our children friends, then human nature, they will make friends. You can't avoid that. Where are they going to make friends if we don't give them friends? That's cool. They're not going to make friends with you, the parents, because you're kind of out of touch. So they can't talk to you about stuff. They're going to talk to their friends about it. And when they become friends with their non-Muslim peers, you know, one of the words used for friends in the Quran is bitana. Bitana is secret keeper. When you have a really close friend, you share information with them that you wouldn't share with anybody else. Right?